So you've seen the video I had on the biggest losers in college football, and now we're going to go with the biggest winners. It'll be 5 with an honorable mention. I wanted to say right off the top, Georgia is not in this video because obviously they're the winner of the season because they won it all, but they're projected to win it all. So I'm kind of thinking about teams that exceeded expectations. That's kind of the point here. So shout out Georgia, and I don't want to see people seeing this thumbnail and my guys Colin and Duke seeing it and being like, how about them dogs? Yes, the dogs are unbelievable. They're the best team in college football. Kirby's the best coach in football right now. They're beginning of a dynasty, and if they can somehow do it again next year, holy moly. Number 1, TCU. Right, I think this is everyone's number 1 winner of the season. There's another team next that I could argue is also the biggest winner of the season. It sucks how their season ended, obviously, but they were projected to finish last, I believe, in the Big 12 by a lot of people. I believe even odds makers, and they ran the table. Only loss was in the championship game by inches. I don't have a dog in the fight, but if I was a TCU fan or betting on TCU and they didn't review that likely looked like a touchdown on one of those sneaks or the goal line attempts, I'd be mad. But, that's neither here nor there. TCU, winner of the season, obviously 13-2, destroying the title game. I don't think there's many teams that wouldn't be. Obviously the closest they had was a last-second loss by Ohio State to them, to Georgia, but again, this is about TCU, not Georgia. So, great season. It sucks it ended the way it did. If they would have lost to Michigan, still would have been a big winner, but not nearly as much. But you won a playoff game as TCU. The first Big 12 team to do it. Yeah, I think it's the first team, the first non-SEC or Big 10, SEC or Ohio State for that matter, and Clemson to win a playoff game. So, congrats to them. Some people don't even score. Guys like Michigan State. Next winner. Arguably also the winner of the season, Tulane. They were 2-10 last year. They went 12-2 this year. I would be shocked if they're not extremely heavy favorites to win it all next year, being the American it all. They're unbelievable. They're great. They're very good, right? Michael Pratt, unbelievable quarterback. I don't know if he's returning. I would assume he is because he's only a junior this year. But, I think he's returning. They kept their coach. He was rumored to go to Georgia Tech, but he was busy with the bowl game. They beat USC in a bowl game with the Heisman quarterback there. They finished 9th in the country. Shout out my guy Peter Foley, great kid. I'm super happy for him down there at Tulane. One of my good friends growing up, playing sports and sailing with him. And shout out him and the Tulane Green Wave for arguably winning the college football season. I think it's them and TCU, pretty split. Again, factoring in Georgia, it's biggest up. They went from 2 wins to 12. That's pretty good, including a Power 5 win over USC. Their only losses. They also beat Kansas State, right? The champion of the Big 12, beat TCU, right? So that could be their argument. They lost to Southern Miss at home, brutal loss, and then lost to UCF, ranked opponent. UCF's not bad, right? It's hard to run the table in the conference. 12-2, nothing to scoff about. Next winner, I'll go quick. We're in the shirt. My team, Michigan. Sure, they lost in the playoff, but they beat Ohio State again. First time in my lifetime remembering it, because I believe they beat Ohio State, like 2003, I think it was. But it's the first time again winning in Columbus in nearly 2 decades, if not 2 decades. And again, I'm a 23-year-old kid, and I've seen it happen twice. Twice in my lifetime. So that's a win in itself, right? Everyone thought Ohio State was still going to beat them. People even have Penn State maybe beating Michigan, but Michigan won out. They went undefeated in the Big Ten, 13-1. It sucks the way it ended with TCU. With the questionable call by the refereeing there with that touchdown and throwing 2 auto pick sixes and a billion broken plays, and you only lost by 6. You had a chance to win at the end of the game. That's kind of crazy. So obviously a little bit of shenanigans going on with Mr. Weiss getting fired. We'll see how that affects everything. But other than that, Michigan brings everyone back, and they should be the title favorites. I have a video recorded. I don't know if it's coming out before or after this because I have a few videos I'm stockpiling, called Must Win in Michigan, how they have to win it all this year, and they got to. But we'll see. Just moving on quickly. Tennessee, same thing. I've talked about him a ton. 11-2, best season in a couple decades, probably since '98. It was feeling like it all year, people thought, but they end up losing to Georgia pretty badly, and then South Carolina, and they lost their quarterback. If they had him, maybe they could have snuck into the playoff. Obviously, they wouldn't have with Ohio State only losing one game, but it would have been a much more fun argument. That would have been all-time college football talk. But since their quarterback was injured, Mr. Hooker, didn't matter. They have to return. They're returning a lot outside of their top two receivers and their quarterback and a few guys on defense. But I think they'll be back as well. They'll probably be third or so in the SEC East or second behind Georgia. I got to do, and I think Kentucky's going to make a lot of noise this year. We'll see how that goes. But watch out for Tennessee again next year. They did a great job. 11 wins, hammering their win total over easily. Beating Alabama, too. That's big. Washington Huskies, another team, good recruiting trail. Michael Penix came back. He was a bad quarterback at Indiana outside the COVID crazy year. And he was a darn near Heisman candidate this year. He led the league in pass yards, and I think next year he'll be a Heisman contender. I think he'll be there in New York for the Heisman ceremony. Their only losses were back-to-back. UCLA on the road, tough loss. It's crazy. And then they lost to Arizona State on the road in a very, very weird game. But it's the Pac-12. You're always thinking some weird stuff's gonna happen. Then they went on the road as underdogs, and on the road, I say it's a neutral site, but it was in San Antonio against Texas, and you beat Texas pretty soundly. They had not many opt-outs. They had obviously just Bijan, but Washington's going to be a big-time team next year. I think the Pac-12 is obviously going to make the playoff next year. It's going to be USC/Oregon/Washington. Probably those. I think that's pretty clearly the top three in the Big 12 next year, or Pac-12 next year. So yeah, they had a great season this year. 11-2 as well, hammering the win total easily. Big win at Oregon down the stretch, and they got a really good thing going out there in the Purple Rain, REIGN. So watch out for the Huskies next season as well. Good win, building on it this year. And my last one, just for fun, James Madison. Right, they got promoted from D2, and they're now in D1. They won their division in the Sun Belt. They couldn't compete in it, because of the NCAA's genius ability. They got to wait a bit. I think it's another 2 years before they could get a bowl game and play in the conference championship. But they beat the hell out of Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina still went to the game, and they got smoked by Troy, another team that could be on here. But I think James Madison's way more fun because they got promoted from D2 to D1. How many teams could come in and get bowl eligible immediately? I know it's not bowl eligible, but 8-3 is nothing to scoff at. They lost to Louisville, Marshall, and Georgia Southern 3 games in a row. Georgia Southern was a war. Marshall, obviously, pretty good team. They beat Notre Dame on the road, and then Louisville, being a Power 5 team, it's hard to beat a Power 5 team. So watch out for the Dukes next year as well. But those are the biggest winners of the season. Michigan, TCU, Tulane, Tennessee, James Madison, and Washington. So thank you for the support as always. Please like and subscribe. See you guys later. Peace.